everybody. Thank you for coming. We are doing a presentation on wildland firefighting. So we are going to just hop right in. Wildland firefighting. I will start this off by saying I am not an expert. I have been to one wildland firefighting um, encounter. There were a few different sites in the same period of time, but I am by no means an expert. Definitely speak with someone who is seasoned. I'm still very much a beginner, and I am just pulling from a very small data pool at this time. But I did want to just do a preliminary uh, presentation. I do have more experience than some people, and so it should be enough to get you interested at any rate if you are thinking about it or if you haven't thought about it and you are curious about firefighting, this wildland firefighting, that might be something to learn more about and look into the training. So we're just going to jump right in. Um, for training. They do have the programs do differ, of course, but there is a an in-person week-long presentation and hands-on demo um, module-esque for fire training that does have a paper exam, a paper element to ascertain comprehension of the basics when it comes to safety and procedures, things like that. In that week, you do learn about flares, you learn about the PPE, you learn about safety, how wildland fires move in a space with wind and with the landscape. They talk about the mountains, they talk about water elements, they talk about neighborhoods if it is in a community setting, what to do, get the sprinklers out and try to wet as much down as you can, try and set up a line to, and space between the fire and any fuel that could catch and, different safety elements, pumps, how to put them together, how to use them. You get to practice using the hoses. You roll the hoses also. Uh, and put up a line, which is the line of hoses to get the water to where it needs to go. You also check out the trucks and learn a little bit about those and how they work at different sites. So, and if you want to have your red card is your certification, so you can go out to a fire. So, this for that, you would need to pass the pack test, and that there are different elements, different types of tests for different levels of firefighter. There is one that's more low key, and I think that was 2 miles, 30 minutes, and less poundage for the amount of weight you have to carry. Um, but there is also the arduous one where it's 3 miles with 45 pounds in 45 minutes. And they do that because as a firefighter, you will have to haul equipment and it's on any terrain. And so you need to be prepared and you want to be trained and in good physical health for your own safety as well as for the safety of everyone there. Um, so they have that pack test just to make sure that you're as able as you can be because they want you to be safe. So that is another part. And you get the red card, and that is um, your eligibility for being on call for wildland firefighter um, scenarios. To be a firefighter, you have standard PPE. You have your helmets, your fireproof long sleeve shirt and pants. That I believe that's called Nomex. Cotton undergarments. You can have t-shirts under and what have you. But you want to make sure that they're cotton so that way they do not melt onto the skin if they are exposed to that heat. Fire is hot. Um, Cotton is more likely to burn and burn away, so it is safer. Bandana for face protection. You can put it up over your face, your nose, your mouth to reduce the amount of fire that you inhale. Gloves, we utilize leather gloves, a solid glove, to protect your hands from the elements. Boots, they do have regulation boots that are fire, fire tested. So the soles are thicker to protect your feet against um, the any ash or maybe potential smokes underfoot in the black areas when you are walking through. So they are meant to um, keep your feet safe and um, also be manageable for any um, longer wildland trips. Obviously, fires happen in all terrains, and so you might have to hike quite a bit, and so that's something that the boots would take into consideration, factor in. So, also goggles. Uh, Standard issue also would have you with a backpack that has water and also an emergency shelter. If the fire is coming at you, you cannot escape it. If the wind changes and it's caught you unexpected, or if it divides and if it's just um, unavoidable, that you do have an emergency shelter that you can go into in way of protection. And they do train you on that. They have you take it out and get in as quickly as you can, and they kind of show you how to do it and things like that. So that's good. Standard supplies. Um, Of course, it depends on how big the fire is, what they'll bring in. But you've got pumps, hoses, shovels, McClouds, Pulaskis, flappers, chainsaws, axes, all sorts of things like that. And I actually apologize. I don't know if I did put photos of the tools on this particular presentation, um, which I do apologize for. I put it on the prescribed burn presentation, and I thought that I would have put it on here, but I must have forgotten. So I apologize. That is my fault. Um, Shovels are your standard shovel. McLeod's are rakes with a straight edge at the back that can be used to hit things, or it can be used as like a type of shovel also. Pulaskis are almost like axes, and flappers are um, rubber flaps that you can kind of put over embers to smother them. We use those for the prescribed burn, but they weren't as common um, for an actual like wildland fire per se, unless it was just mop up, pure mop up, and that we'll go over that a little bit too at the end. Um, because that is after the fire has been put out, then you will have the mop up period where you look for smokes and you try and keep the area safe. Chainsaws and axes are also good. If a tree does catch on fire, then you would want to be able to um, potentially take a tree down if it's going to be a hazard, and you need to work in that area. You might need to take it down. So you have those for your standard supplies. Other equipment, you can have fire trucks, alternative transportation vehicles, bulldozers, four-wheelers. You can also have helicopters and the large buckets that can haul water with those. So all sorts of fire trucks come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. And you can have traditional trucks as well. Um, a lot of different equipment. If you are on call in case of an emergency, you can be called at any time, and fires can start at any time. So you need to be prepared and have your phone on, because if you are on call, it is your responsibility. You will get called in. You will have to go and to the fire as soon as possible and help to mitigate it, per the orders of the person who is in charge at that time. Remote areas can be difficult to reach and also difficult to supply with water. So that you may have water trucks, but you know, those can be difficult to bring up and in. So, um, you also would want to look for those natural sources of water as well. Those are going to be pivotal in some of these scenarios. So you can get your pumps and you can set those up to bring water up into the area. Maintaining hydration is very important. You will be out, you can have very long days firefighting, and obviously the fire is hot and the environment itself can be hot. You can be out in a very hot climate. Um, so you just want to make sure that you stay hydrated. Snacks can also boost energy in the heat. Um, so you just want to be conscientious and take care of yourself. That is important. You can't fight fires if you lose consciousness, if you are not at your optimum health. You need to take care of yourself. So you do the firefighting. And then there is the mop up, which we did kind of touch on. And then you, after the mop up, you obviously would pull out all the supplies that you used. And then you would bring it back to the station. Then you'd have to clean up at the station. And so that's putting all the hoses away and uh, putting all the equipment away, maybe cleaning stuff up and off. And um, but those are kind of the elements of a basic fire. You okay? I do have a photo. You got fire tools here, safety goggles. Um, Here we've got the flapper, we've got the McCloud, we've got the Pulaski, and then we have a shovel here also. So these are kind of the things that you might see at a site. Safety goggles is part of the PPE. These are examples of prescribed burns. They're kind of your starter fires. These burns are prescribed, so they are set on purpose. They are mindfully done. They are planned. They are submitted for, optimum safety. You want to look at the weather and the environment and kind of mitigate any risks. So this is woodland prescribed burn. And then this is a prairie prescribed burn. So those are kind of your starter fires that are a good idea to start there in your training. So this is a wildland fire. I believe it was up in Ely. It was a 13-acre fire when this team was called in. And this is the dozer they brought in. One of them, well, this is the only one that I saw when I was there. I was there. Um, but they brought this in. They flattened a path around the perimeter as best they could. It was a slope, and so um, it was definitely a challenge. But my team was only called in for the mop up element of it, which is good because we were all new. So it was safer for us to come in for that element versus the actual firefighting itself. I did have a um, I'd say it was like a small stack of dead, like small trees and bushes and things that caught on fire. And so there was active fire. I did fight active fire. But it was a lot of cleanup and smokes and just extinguishing things after the main crew, kind of handled the primary fire itself. So but this is a dozer. It went in to flatten the perimeter area for easier access and for easier safety and water management. And this is the hose lay for the on-call mop up in Ely, Minnesota. So this is the connector of bringing these hoses up. This is the water source. They had a natural water source that they were pulling from. They had, I think, at least two pumps going, and um, they had quite the amount of hoses up. And I apologize. There is a photo up here that is not displaying. It just showed a a large red bag that you put hoses into, and you kind of, it's like backpacking up into the wildland area, and it kind of, you can put the hose in a special way that it just kind of unrolls and is it's efficient for the hose lay. Oh no, here that is. So I think this was just three hoses side by side. I apologize. These are the bag photos. So this is the red that you would have on your back, and you would just walk up this area with the hose, um, and you would probably need several. Obviously, this it was 13 acres, so you need quite a number of hoses, and they do come in different sizes. I'm not a numbers person, and so I will not remember right now off the top of my head how long the hoses were that we had available, but they do come in different sizes. So um, this was the perimeter, and you laid the hose around the perimeter. Here is some of the black. You can see it's just pure char here. The fuel burned. It burned well. This is the perimeter here. And then you can see some of the black here. The fire skipped some of this fuel, and that does happen sometimes with fire. That it might not get all of the fuel in one area. It can skip things and leave areas um, undisturbed, while other areas are completely demolished. So, and that's about, the environment, it's about the landscape, it's about the weather, and there are a lot of elements again that go into that. But you can see the hose here at the base here, and that is the black. So this is the top of the truck, and this is the truck as well. So I'm just curious to see what they had up on top of it, and so I wrote my names up there. I was curious. Um, so that's the truck. Little stuff. They have these are doors, they're cabinets that slide open, and they do have equipment inside of them for firefighting. So it's cool. Safety first. Safety is very important with firefighting, especially. You do want to have that training, and you want to take care of yourself, and be mindful of the people you're with. Have that communication there, and maintain best practices as you are able. Um, and it's a very cool experience. It's obviously very important, and people's lives are at risk, and that people can be in danger. And so it's also very, very important. It's an important study and an important area of study to be able to protect people. So the slogan, only you can prevent forest fires. Um, and that is something that you can be mindful of too. Your own role in the starting of many, many fires. If you don't put your fires out, if you throw a lit cigarette out in a you know, uh, high risk area, it's just a call to action, a call to care and be mindful and try to prevent that when our environment is vulnerable. So safety first. Um, are there any questions? Question slide. Any questions? And again, my knowledge is very very basic, very beginners. But I would love to learn more, of course. I, I just started it and it was just a few fires. So, any questions?